Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Believe, better known as KevBiyi, man. And if you yourself are interested in creating your own podcast, let me show you how to do it, man. Let me give you some great advice. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. I only need two things real quick. Listen in close. Number one, it's free. That should say it all right there. But if that's not enough, number two, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means you can start making money from day one on your podcast and start putting that money to good use. So, let me give you the information. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started today. And I want to hear your podcast. Peace. Welcome to the Believe in Yourself podcast. Check out this dope interview with Mr. and Mrs. Ighodaro, both running for public office, and giving a little background about what their views and thoughts are and where our country or our city should be headed. Tune in. Hey, what's going on? I hope you guys enjoying the episode. This is Mr. Believe, and I just want to invite you guys to follow me on IG at KEV as in Victor, B as in boy, IYI. That's at KevBiyi on IG if you want to catch any of these interviews live and in color. See you soon. Welcome to the Believe in Yourself podcast on Your Vibe Radio. And today we got some special guests for you. But before we get to that, I got a couple of announcements for you guys. Remember, if you guys want to join the Believe in Yourself community and you guys want to get special discounted rates from our guests and get special prizes and be involved with everything that we got going on, just text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996. And this month we have the Black Dollar Challenge going on, sponsored by Unique African Boutique. And remember, they always say be unique. What we're doing, we're sponsoring two businesses this month with a raffle. So you would send $1 to the cash tag, I believe 15, to enter into the raffle, and you would win an immunity booster from Unity is Wealth. And the immunity pack comes with some sea moss and elderberry to help you to boost your immune system naturally. And your proceeds will go to sponsor the nonprofit organization Extraordinary Youth Inc., where they use the arts to build confidence and public speaking in our youth through dance, music, and the arts. So definitely you guys want to be involved in that. Just send your $1 to cash tag I believe 15. And remember to join the community, text BIY to 31996. Now today's episode is a very, very special episode. If you guys are paying attention to what's going on, an election is coming up. And we have two officials here, or soon to be officials, coming on our show to talk about a little bit more about what they have going on and to tell us what they're going to do for our community and how they're going to help Miami Gardens and South Florida progress in this climate. We have Vice Mayor Ighodaro and his wife, Lady Ighodaro.
Thank you for allowing us to be on the air. Believe in yourself.
Welcome. Thank you guys for coming on. So, for me, the first question that I have, because I'm not a very political person. I don't really keep up with it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know exactly what the Senate seat is and what does that actually do and how does that help for the community. Like, what is it that you actually do? Like, what is it that goes on and that you're running for?
I teach criminal justice and the fundamentals. I taught in public school district for many years. The fundamentals of American government, basically. There are three branches of government. You have the legislative branch, you have the executive branch, and you have the judicial branch. Those are the three branches. So most people know about the president, the mayor, the governor. Those are the executive officers, right? But there's a branch that make laws. I was on the city council in Miami Gardens. We make laws in terms of how much taxes your parents pay or you pay.
Yeah.
In terms of services, public works, parks, how much you pay for school board. That school board, they make the rules, board rules. But in the state of Florida, the body that makes laws for the state, the entire state, is the legislature. The legislature has two chambers. You have the upper house and the lower house. The lower house is the state representative, and the upper house is the state senate. So the body that makes the laws in terms of how much taxes, or whether we pay tax at all, is the state legislature. And we have about 120 state representatives, about 40 senators. Okay. So the bulk stops at the Senate. So that's where we're heading, and we hopefully want to be a better voice for our community, because our community has been shafted. We send more money from South Florida to Tallahassee, but we get less back. That, to me, that's taxation without representation.
Definitely. So, Mrs. Shannon, same question to you, but for City Council. What would your job entail?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge fan of your podcast, and I'm so happy to be here. But I'm Lady Shannon Ighodaro, and I'm running for Miami Garden City Council seat 3. So there are a total of 6 seats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the mayor is elected. So there are 2 at-large seats. My husband holds an at-large seat. But I am running for seat 3, which there are 4 areas within that particular district, which is in Miami Gardens, Sponge Park, Rolling Oaks, Crestview, and Scotland. So,
okay.
Yes, I'm running to be the next councilwoman. I'm excited about it.
Definitely. That's great. So I'm glad to have you guys here today. I got a few questions that came in. We want to know a little bit about how you guys' views and things of this. I was looking at one of your campaigns, and it says, fighting for families first. What does that really mean, and what does it look like when you say fighting for families first?
First of all, this is my first time in this studio, man. I'm floored, man. This is it's like being in a DJ / nightclub. I'm reminiscent. Oh man, this is beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Doing it. I'm proud of this young man. Those of you listening, man, this is it comes from a iconic family right here in South Florida. When I was the president of the Nigerian American Foundation, his dad was the vice president. I would not do nothing without his approval. He was the man. Mr. KevBiyi, shout out. Listen, families first. Like I said, our society is in trouble. I'm a Democrat, but I don't think like a partisan. I have an independent. I'm more like an independent thinker.
Okay.
So some of my values are consistent with conservative values, like most Africans.
Yeah.
You know, most Africans, we're very, very conservative. But in terms of American politics, when you talk about family values, they think of you like a Republican, like somebody who doesn't support abortion is more conservative. Somebody who doesn't support gay marriages is more Republican. I am not a Republican, but I don't support the idea of people having abortions. To me, I'm a pastor. I'm a man of faith. I'm a student of the Bible. I believe that we should be consistent with what the Lord says we should do in terms of life. It says one of the commandments says, "Thou shalt not kill." It does not say there are no conditions on it. And and I believe what God said about marriage too.
Yeah.
So when I say families first, means we have to order our priorities. There's a bill in the Florida Senate that just passed about a couple of months. It's Senate Bill 404. And one of my opponents voted for this bill. This bill, thank God it didn't pass, because we have a Republican-led Senate. They voted it down. But my opponent and most Democrats voted for it. The bill allows for children up to the age of 13 years old to have abortions without parental consent. That does not make sense. Some children cannot watch some movies at home without parental approval.
And you're going to say
go do abortion without parental approval? We cannot. I don't support that. So families, we got to put our families first. Everything else, the family is the fundamental building block of every society. If the family is straight, everything will fall in order. When you look at the maladies in our society, especially in the black community, the divorce rate in the American system is 1 out of every 2 marriages end in divorce. But in our community, it's higher. And we got to make sure that we keep those families intact. Because when we don't, then the society bears the brunt of your derelict as a parent. Because many of those students are taught in the middle schools and high school and college come from broken homes. This is I'm not disparaging anybody, but this is about our destiny as a people. When I was growing up, there was no such thing. They shun at divorce. But I know that's not something your audience want to hear. This is a hip group, this is young people. We're paying the price in our society because we don't follow God's law. I can't put it any other way. You got to make it clear. And don't think you're so civilized now, you're wiser than your parents. The Africans say what the elders see sitting down, the young people don't see standing up.
Yeah.
They're wise. That's families first. Right?
Okay, what does it mean for you, families first?
Well, he said it all. Basically, I believe that, like he mentioned, the family is fundamental. Even if I put it in the context of our own marriage, we've been married for almost 19 years. And I think about the support one to another that we have grown accustomed to. I mean, he could not do, and he says it all the time, all of what he's doing if he didn't have the support. And I also think, too, that we are sensitive, obviously, to anyone else, because not everyone may have a storybook marriage. You go through trials, but I look at it as a relationship where we basically feed off one another. I believe because our family unit is so strong, it gives us the freedom to not only support each other within our family, but also to be a model for many young families out there like you and your beautiful wife.
Yes.
But we had to look up to your parents. You know what I mean? So it's, like he said, that's God's order. And I think that is fundamental. It's basic. You cannot do anything without starting from that place of unity. And I truly believe it's in the family.
Wow, I agree with that sentiment. I really feel like once the family unit is together, it helps just to build more confidence in the children, which would then pass on to the next generation. So what are your goals with the family first? What are some of the things that you're going to do spotlighting the families or to help these families?
Well, Errol, you can...
Fundamentally, it's about education. And we have to make sure that we have an educational system that teaches those values, the values of knowing who you are, knowing your history, knowing what it means to be a man or woman of faith. America was founded on supposedly Christian values and principles. Right? So we got to be consistent with those values. We spend dollars every time, and your dollar bill is saying, in God we trust. Do you really trust in God, or you trust in yourself or your money? So we have to really design our educational system in a way that allows for the teaching of principles that guide. Many of us grew up in those foundations. I remember growing up in Nigeria, we used to take Bible studies in school. Just because this is a non-secular, this is a secular community, does not mean that we should throw away the baby with the bathwater. I think there could be room for interfaith education, where you learn about multiple faiths, and we had that too. So that's fundamentally, our educational system has to be fundamentally grounded on some level of integration of faith in the curriculum. And on top of that, you got to have a system that allows for the teaching, especially for our community. My district is predominantly African American. Miami Gardens is the most predominant African American city in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So we have to teach Black history.
Definitely.
The state of Florida, yes, in 1994, the state of Florida passed legislation. It's law to teach Black history, or they call it African American history. It's supposed to be woven in the school curriculum. I know my research and studies have shown that it's not been done because of the focus on other things like testing, and teachers will tell you, man, I don't have time for that, especially if it's not been measured or or part of the accountability standards.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. So we know that it's not being taught. So first of all, we got to make sure that the law is applied or is followed, and we're going to find a way to measure it. So those are one of the things I can do in terms of promoting families first. Secondly, I've already done it in Miami Gardens. 2 years ago, I passed legislation that allows for the first paid family and maternity leave program for the city of Miami Gardens employees. There are only 6 states in the United States that has a paid family leave program. Florida is not one of them. So apart from what they call FMLA, the federal regulations, that give you only a couple of, maybe 4 weeks. Yeah. That is not enough. Ask a mother. I have sisters, 4 sisters in Canada. They have up to, in some cases, a year of maternity leave. And you wonder why some of our children are just acting out of character, because the time of bonding that a child needs with a mother, especially the mother, we don't have it. And science tells us that the most critical age is 0 through 4. Actually, the science says that the brain development capability is complete. 75% complete by the time a child gets to age 7. So if you're allowing other people to take care of your child, and you wonder why your child don't listen to you, we got to flip that thing.
And if I could just add in, when I think about family, as a wife, as a mother, from a community perspective, I think about it in terms of the young women that I mentor. Like I said, not everyone have what we would call, perhaps a traditional type of family.
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I'm here to tell you about Titan Protective Services, where they protect what matters most to you. Titan Protective Services provides innovative security solutions for apartment complexes, rental properties, and condominiums. We believe that as a family-run company, we are here to make sure your property is taken care of and protected from vandalism, theft, and destruction. Contact us today for your security needs. Visit www.titanproserv.com today, or call us at 844-39-TITAN. That's 844-39-TITAN.
Let's be real. And I feel like what I've seen, especially in Miami Gardens, which, like Airborne mentioned, is the largest African-American city in Florida. Almost 118,000 residents. That's a whole lot of people. And a lot of these women reach out to me as a wife and mother, and they say, well, how do you do it? How do you find the balance as a business owner, as a wife, as a community leader, as a mom? And so I get a chance to really share that and to really talk about it and make sure that they could relate to it. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running, to let other women know, hey, if I could do it, you could do it too. But again, I have the support of my husband. I have the support of our twin daughters. You know what I mean? So you really look at it in a holistic way. You know, I believe everything starts at a spiritual level, and then I believe family, and then I believe that it's incumbent. You have to give back to the community, and I think politics allow you to do that in a very grand way, to be able to give back, to be able to have access to the people, have access to the information, have access to the money or the resources, and the equal distribution of them. So I still think there's a way to kind of make it work.
Kevin, part of it, what Shannon is saying is true. In the African context, when you're married to the family.
Oh, yeah.
You marry into the family. You become one. So in that sense, my orientation, that's why I'm blessed to have this woman, because I would not do politics. I would not do what I'm doing, sacrificing my time away from home to help other people's children or other people without having my home covered.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years, she's made the sacrifice on her own professional career. When people, I tell people jokingly, but it's true. When I was elected about 10 years ago, Miami Gardens got 2 for 1. They got the whole family. When we're going feeding the community, you see all on Facebook, and the kids are there. She's there. So we've done this as a family commitment. And one of the genesis for her running was at the polls. When you see her hustling, man, she's no joke. When the election time, man, she's hungrier than I am. And people say, man, you out here? Her skin get darker.
Yeah, basically your complexion and Kev's.
They say, man, you run. Why don't you run?
I go like 3 shades darker.
But that does not negate the fact that I have tried to mentor Nigerians, and people should not mistake this to mean that I am self-serving this in her running. Part of this whole thing, I have been trying to, I believe in succession planning. I wrote the first succession planning resolution for the city of Miami Gardens. We have, especially in our community, we have a problem of building leadership. So we have to be intentional in terms of grooming people to take position. I'm vacating my seat. Yeah. She's not running for my seat.
No, I'm running for my own seat.
She got to sit on for a name, but because I know I have to at some point I got to step out of the way. And one of the things I did, the first appointment I gave when I just got on the city council was to appoint Chief Obadi, who was the vice chair of the Miami Gardens Elder Affairs Committee. It's the most powerful committee we have, and the only real serious committee in the city of Miami Gardens. And I've been kind of nudging him to run for office, but he's run away from it. I've talked to others, Peter Ighodaro, and I see in Kechi here, Apala, this is our next generation. You got to get ready. You got to stay in line. You got to, I can't get all the firing shots alone. No.
You need some people to get in there in the trenches.
Get in the trenches. You, Kevin.
Yes, of course. Why not?
My dad could be a politician, man. Me, I'll stay on the radio.
Never know.
Yeah, but I like how you mentioned school, because I worked in a school for about 5 years, and the teachers all they focus on is just teaching or testing. Yeah. They don't have time to go over anything that's really tangible for the kids. If it's not on the whatever test, what is it? FCAT, I think it was. Those tests, they're not teaching it.
Yeah.
And I found that as a problem because they were depriving the kids of what they really need to know, the more important information.
That's right.
So, with everything that's been going on in this COVID situation, what are your views on schools starting back this fall?
Wow.
How do you feel about that?
Again, families first. I've told, when this whole pandemic just broke in Florida, I wrote the governor and I put out a message that we should not go back to work. I don't think I know now that that was a bad decision for the state of Florida to reopen so soon. And the science bears us witness that, right after the whole thing was open, people started going to the beaches and partying in clubs, and despite. And it is not only the right thing to do to stay home according to the science, it is the rational thing to do scientifically, because you can contain the germs or the infection if you allow for those kind of distancing and separation of people who will have the virus and those who potentially can be carriers of the virus, so they can manage those people. Then the whole thing can, and they saw a dive in the numbers when we had the shutdown.
Yeah.
And now, so we're back in the state where Florida now is one of the top states in the nation and perhaps in the country, in the whole world, in terms of infections rate. Now, we have to make sure that I'm not against children learning, but I would rather have a child who's alive and ignorant than a dead child.
God forbid.
God
Think
forbid.
about that, yeah.
They're saying, they were telling us that children could not contract the disease. It's a lie. Now, evidence is they're showing infants with COVID-19. And school, I taught in the school. In school, there's no way you can manage. That's what kids do. They interact, they interface, they're going to spread germs. It's a germ factory. But not only kids, you bring in adults. These are cafeteria workers, you got custodians, you got teachers, everybody. No. I don't know, as for me in my house, we will serve the Lord. I'm not sending my children to nobody's school. We have technology now that will allow people to learn virtually and on distance while they're trying to manage and contain the virus. So my position has been, heck no, will not go. And that's one of the reasons why I voted, in spite of my colleagues on the council, city council, the council of jazz and the gardens. Yeah, we're going to lose about $3 or $4 million. So what? People's lives are more important than one weekend of party or some kind of revenue you're going to get from jazz.
Yeah.
One of the things, let me say this about Aeroport. There's a difference between a politician and a public servant. We have been married, like I say, almost 19 years, and when I think about someone who I would want to be my leader, someone who has the best interests of the community at heart, not about money. We talk about it all the time. I tell him, we should be rich, our degrees, and, I figured, we worked and it's time to vacation, but we choose a life of public service. And it's not pretty all the time. It's not perfect. But when we go to bed, we sleep in peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our children know what it means to be true citizens. And what more, as parents, could we offer them or anyone else? May the work we do speak.
Definitely. You're definitely, since they're here, you're definitely laying a great example.
Yeah.
They're definitely they're probably not paying attention now, but they're absorbing.
Yeah.
They're absorbing. I know they are. So you guys are definitely setting that great example for them. One of the concerns that people had about with the kids not going back to school was that the kids would be at home and certain things, would be happening that, like different abuses and things like that. So how could we combat that with keeping kids home?
Those are two issues that is being conflicted. You're going to have abuses whether children go to school or not.
True.
And you're going to have, and some people use the false argument that they're gonna have to experience some learning gaps because of their time away from. Again, what I just said. You would rather have a dead child, all right, than to have somebody who may have some learning gaps. Children have. There is always going to be children with learning gaps. You know, there in the system that we have right now, even before COVID, we have virtual school. My kids, my wife, I'm a public school teacher. She don't want her children to go back to public school. They've done 8 years of public education. They're going into high school. She was saying, adamant, before COVID, I want them in virtual school. That's an option.
Definitely is.
There's nothing more. A parent is supposed to be the first teacher. There is nothing wrong with you being home with your child to learn from you in a healthy environment. Right?
I second that.
Right? I know the issues with job, you want to make money, you want to make sure. But listen, what is most important to you? We have so many kids, so many troubles in our society. People who are supposed to be intelligent, brilliant, but they're in a life of crime, drugs, prostitution, whatever it is. All the maladies in society, but they're smart. They're supposed to be good students. So what's most important to you? I think, I'm not saying that it is not important to be in a corporate environment to learn, like in a school, like we all grew up in. But they said this is a different environment. What person would see a house burning and would want to send their children into a burning house without the right equipment? I don't think we are that callous. We know that there is an issue with the COVID. There is no vaccine yet. We are not doing enough testing. The CDC guidelines say we need to have at least 33,000 tests per day. Wow. And Florida is only doing about 9,000 tests. And the President of the United States said the other day, we were watching TV, I couldn't believe it came out of his mouth. He said, maybe I just told them to stop doing the testing. We're getting so much false positives because they're doing so much testing. Are you serious?
False positives.
Yeah.
Come on, listen. We have to do enough testing, contain the disease. Don't send our children, especially vulnerable kids, in an environment that you know they're going to get contaminated. There's no, even hospitals, where you have medically trained professional nurses are contracting the virus in their workplace with supposedly PPEs and all this stuff. Some we know that some don't have enough PPEs. Talk less of children who don't have those kind of safeguards.
Yeah.
No, we say no.
I agree. I'm all for homeschooling.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've always wanted to do with my child. And I feel like it's just, like you said, I would rather be more accountable to raising my child and making sure that he's going in the right way than to hand him off to somebody else. And in today's climate, one of the things that scares me has been going on. I know you guys have been paying attention to this with the police things that's been going on with the children. What is your state on the police reform? How do you feel about that?
Listen, I'm a student of the criminal justice system. I'm a criminal justice professor. I teach the criminal justice. I teach students who become police officers. My mentor was a police officer. My dad actually was a police officer. So I'm not anti-police, but I understand from where the sentiment comes from. It's like, to me, the analogy I use is you have somebody who has a cancer, and you're giving them Tylenol or Panadol. Those of you that grew up in Nigeria, you're treating you have diagnosed the right symptoms, but using a different medicine for it. What I hear the children are saying and the young people are saying, the police for a long time have been abusive. they have taken advantage of our community. They have not been well trained and equipped to take care of our community.
Yeah.
Let's have better policing. That I can dig, I can understand. But you don't want to say that I don't want police at all.
Definitely.
You got to have public safety. I mean, when you have trouble in your house, who are you going to call?
911.
Especially in this kind of environment where people are losing they're not getting even unemployment checks are not coming in. People are no jobs, and on top of that, you're going to tell them no public safety. Man, you're going to have chaos in your hands.
Yeah, one of the
Go ahead.
One of the issues, even right now in Miami Gardens, is we don't have enough police officers. We are short. So definitely one of my priorities once elected would be to ensure that we fill those gaps. We should have enough public safety officers. I mean, that's one of the critical factors, but it's all tied into economics, right? If people aren't working, they're going to turn to a life of crime,
Because they have to eat.
Exactly. There's a
Hey, it's Mr. Believe, and I want to tell you about Unique African Boutique. It is a beautiful collection of authentic clothing, jewelry, accessories, and art that are made with the highest quality from artisans in Africa. What you get from Unique African Boutique, you can't get from anywhere else. Our entire collection is made up of one-of-a-kind pieces that promote the culture, music, and lifestyle of Africa, with care for the artisans and their families and their livelihood. Shop Unique African Boutique today at shopuniqueafricanboutique.com.
saying the devil find work for idle hands to do. Even on some summers there, we see some of our boys and girls walking the streets. What are we doing to create programs to get them involved? Teaching them how to. I know you're very passionate about starting your own business, the life of, and that's what we do. So how do we come together and teach our boys and girls what it means to truly have your own? I think COVID has really forced a lot of us to really think outside the box, right? And to think different about education for our kids and for ourselves. And I mean, you have to really look at it as a, of course, we pray for those who have lost loved ones, but you got to be able to take pain and turn it into something positive, right? Pain is a symptom of something that is going on that can be fixed. And I really think we need to look at it that way. So that's one of the priorities for me, ensuring that we have enough police officers and also making sure that they come from the city of Miami Gardens. People we talk about it all the time.
Key.
We say people need to be comfortable knowing that that officer friendly, his daughter, his child goes to school with, my child. And I think they could relate. And there's a sense of safety, community, family.
Yeah.
And that's the holistic picture that I was trying to tell you earlier. I think that's what it all works. It all works together.
Mm-hmm. All the pieces have to fit together.
All of the pieces have to fit.
Yeah,
One of the challenges we had in Miami Gardens when we got elected about 8-10 years ago was because we were a young city, new city, they had to hire police officers. That's what the initial council thought from different departments outside of the city, outside of even the county. They brought police officers that were not even from the state of Florida.
Yeah,
That didn't look
They didn't look like the community, and that was a problem. So when you have, and we had some issues in Miami Gardens because a lot of people felt they were being harassed by police officers who didn't understand the culture.
Yeah.
Because around Bunch Park, where my church is, you got guys typically just hang out doing stuff in the evenings, and those police officers were coming there just to check and patrol, and they felt that was harassment. that's part of the culture, but they don't. It's a cultural divide. So we have to make sure that we hire more police officers reflective of the demographics of our city. And from the last 6 years, we hired almost 70% of our police corps, Miami guards, residents. Some of those kids I taught at Northern Middle, Northern High School, public safety. What our children are saying is, let us look at a better way to do policing, and not just policing. There are resources that I think some people are miscalculating the kind of budgetary allocations that involve in law enforcement. Like Shannon was saying, today we have about 211 police officers. And for a city our size, we should have about 290. So we are not there. Maybe there are some police departments that have surplus, or they have too many officers on patrol on the street. That's a totally different matter. But what the children are saying, what our community is saying is, we need more social services in terms of education, in terms of counseling, support, for our people, jobs, right? Definitely. Why we can't give people jobs, but we can send them to jail? One of the things I fought against in city of Miami Gardens that typically you see is now a pattern in city government, that they use prisoners to do cleanups of streets. You see that?
Yeah, I see.
I said, why are we giving these jobs to prisoners? That's slave labor.
That's
Instead of putting the money in local businesses, small businesses that do lawn mowing, that want to do trash pickup, give them the money and let them train young people or people who need jobs to do those work.
Yeah.
But no, they would rather send you to jail and use you for free labor. So you're saying is, in essence, it's better for you to be a prisoner than to be free. And that is not what our community and our society should be all about. The corporate giants, this is the prison industrial complex. They're benefiting from the system. We cannot feed in, especially we are our own independent city. We cannot feed into that machine or that animal.
Definitely. I definitely agree with both points. Like you said, it's more holistic on both sides. I feel like the police need more training. They have to come from Miami Gardens so they can at least understand the culture, know the people. It feels better if the police officers could pull up and call you by name.
That's right.
I know your family.
Yeah, that's right.
What are you doing? I know your mom.
Exactly.
That's right.
And with the kids, we have to give them more programs and do things, especially in the summer months when they're out of school.
Like when I pull up, I saw a security car. If I had bad intentions, I would come to this house. I saw the security parked out. Hey, listen, there's something called the broken window theory in criminal justice. That means if it's broken, it is dilapidated, that means nobody's watching. Then that is the place I need to go. Right? So part of community policing is about that. What you're just saying, Kevin, is making sure people from the community, when the police officers park their car, they're in the community. It's home. This street is safe. It's black. So you got to make sure that people in your community buy into your sense of policing and security.
Definitely. Now, when we're talking about policing, one of the things that I feel like is a little over-policed, I've got a lot of questions about this, with the red light cameras.
Oh, my goodness.
What do you feel about the red light cameras in Miami Gardens? What's your take on that?
On this council, I've been the only one that has voted consistently against the red light cameras contract, because they come up for renewal every 2 or 3 years. What I've found out is our city, and like most cities, have almost have a system of budgeting that depends on revenues from those tickets. So we could not abruptly just cut it. Even though I understand that from a managerial perspective, I still vote against it, because I think at some point we have to phase ourselves out of it. Because you cannot just depend on what seems to be, again, taxation without representation or hidden taxes. That's what it amounts to. Because you're saying this is a form of revenue, so whether it's effective, good or bad, we got to continue it. No. We know that it's not really effective. Yeah. There has been studies that have shown that red light cameras actually causes more accidents. Because some people know.
Scared.
Right. They don't, want to stop too soon. Mm-hmm. And the other part of the ineffectiveness of it is of the contracting. At some point, people's behavior will change because they know the red light cameras are here. So the tickets numbers will go down. But the contracts or the payment that we pay monthly or annually will remain the same. So we're still paying the vendors while the tickets are going down. So we're not making money. At some point, it's going to phase out by itself. But I believe that there are some merits to it in terms of because I've seen cases where it's actually prevented accident. Somebody who just narrowly missed, right? So there could be some benefit of red light camera that we've already had. I think at some point we got to phase it out. Again, with this pandemic, I was the one that stopped the red light camera tickets during the pandemic. I said people were struggling. I even sent a message to the governor to make it a statewide suspension of all red light camera tickets because of the emergency. People cannot be forced to choose between whether they need to pay their red light camera tickets when they can't even feed themselves.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I don't like them at all. I think they should just go. They got to find another way to get that money, I would think. Because, like you said, it's taxation. It's like they're taxing us for driving.
That's right.
But then I don't see where the money's going. I don't know what it's doing, but it's just making my day that much more longer.
There's been legal challenges, and some courts have ruled that it's unconstitutional. And I know some cities have had to stop it. Miramar stopped it.
Yeah, Pembroke Pines.
Yeah, because by law, our officer should be there to ticket you, not a machine, not an object. But again, cities derive a lot of benefit from it.
Yeah.
They'll not tell you that, but I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, definitely. So, how do you feel about the latest developments of Miami Gardens? How do you feel about the whole development? What do you think is the trajectory of Miami Gardens now with all this development happening? I feel like it's about to be a new downtown right here.
Miami Gardens is the new terrain, man, for development and growth. This is going to be the epicenter of Black life in South Florida. It's a diamond in the rough. We have the stadium there, so it's a magnet. We have want to create a cultural center. We have a new performing arts center that's going to be built right by the Walmart. There's going to be 2 hotels there and a movie theater and some restaurant chain.
Yeah, everyone wanted to know.
Right.
Now you know.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and west of that, we're going to have the African Museum. And, that brings a lot of energy as well. And,
absolutely.
Those are attractions. But we got to make sure at the bottom of all of that Black people are benefiting.
Yeah, that was my next question. How are the people here going to benefit?
Right. We have not been able to benefit. We've had like 2 or 3 Super Bowls. We find out that they come here, but they don't stay here. They stay on the beach. And
there's no hotels.
There's nothing to keep them here.
No food, eateries. It's kind of tricky.
Right. So
we're working on that.
We have to provide the kind of infrastructure that will keep the money in our community.
And I want to continue on that progress. Shannon Ighodaro for progress. I want to see Miami Gardens just take off. We are the epicenter right now. We have 95. We have the Turnpike.
Right there.
Right there. We have the people.
Yeah.
The greatest resource anyone can have is, any country can have, is its people. We're right here in Miami Gardens.
So my concern is with all of this development, because I seen it looks pretty on 27th and 183rd, the new thing they brought there, but those are all big businesses, and they displaced a lot of family businesses and small businesses there. So how can we make sure that we keep the small businesses in Miami Gardens so they don't have to leave out of here, and they can also benefit?
It's a hybrid. It's not impossible. In your development plan and your recruitment of developers and businesses, you got to let them know as part of their deal that you're going to have some set asides for small businesses, minority, local business. That's what I did with Miami Gardens in 2014. I developed the BREP program, the Business Resident Economic Plan, for our bond implementation program, which is a $60 million bond to develop all of our parks, our 19 parks. Part of what that BREP said was, in every contract, we have to make sure that there is a portion for local Miami Gardens businesses in terms of architects, engineers. We have Doja, and Doja is part of that now. It's one of the black construction companies in Miami Gardens. All of that needs to be tied into the contract,
our community,
right? So you put their feet to the fire and make them accountable. But you cannot just have small businesses. You got to invite big business.
Yeah, I know there have to be a balance.
Yeah. And there's I have a small business. I'm big on entrepreneurship as well, and I do public outreach and involvement. So, as the next councilwoman in Miami Gardens, I want to ensure when a developer comes in to get a multi-million-dollar contract, I understand it firsthand because I am that woman-owned minority business. I want to know what is the benefit to our residents, right? Who is going to be doing your public involvement? Let me know what are you going to do before you even get here? What have you done before you got here? Mid, are you letting the residents know what phase or where we are? And then post project. So I understand that from a first-hand knowledge. Women-owned business, I'm big on that. What are we doing for up-and-coming business owners? What are we doing for, Ketchy is here, she owns her own business, what are we doing for people who have already invested? How much free work could you do?
Exactly.
Now is the time to bring in everybody to the table. Let's really look at this. Miami Gardens has a huge Caribbean and African and Hispanic population. I mean, we're easily about 40% or thereabout. So we got to make sure that everyone has an equal representation at the table. Definitely. And I want to make sure that happens.
Is there a program similar to, I know Dade County has the program for the small businesses where they have the SBA, where they allot for small businesses. Do they have a program like that here in Miami Gardens?
No, not yet. That's Shannon's next.
I'll do that. I'll definitely do that.
Miami Gardens is small.
We're still growing.
Still growing.
$80 million. So I think you're right. We need to have a real small business program. The county has one that we can learn from and glean from. But even the county is not.
Thank you for tuning in to the Believe in Yourself podcast. Now I'm your host, KevBiyi, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been tuning into these episodes. And I pray, and my prayer is that everyone has been getting some type of inspiration, motivation, or even some tips and tricks of the trade that they can use in their everyday journey or lives into entrepreneurship, professionalism, or just downright living. Now, if you want some more from our guests on the show, we're eventually going to be partnering with them and bringing you some special discounted items later on. So if you love these guests and love the things that they have to offer and you would love to support and build the community, all you need to do is text BIY to 31996. That's BIY to 31996. And let's grow this community together. Peace.
It's still not inclusive enough. We got to make sure that it's really working for us.
Yeah.
And I was going to say this, and people, when you talk about small business representation in our contracts, people don't look at the political side of it. You want to come to the table without putting something on the table. People will not tell you this, but I'm going to be blunt. I'm being blunt with you. In my book, I call it the fifth rule of the game. It's called pay to play. Pay to play is a bad word in government, but it is how the game is played. People understand it from the personal relationship. You say no romance without finance. No money, no honey, right? You don't come, you gotta give something. I'm telling you, politicians look at that. And those are the people that make laws and when they see that you have not given up front. My mentor used to call it priming the pump. I don't know what that means. Back in those days, when they didn't have tap water. So you have to put a little bit of small water and you pump it and the big water gushes out. So you got to give a little to get a lot. The point is, you got to be a part of the system at the front end. Don't wait to always be a recipient. If you wait, you're not going to get. You got to know how to play the game. If you look at one of the things I studied when I started working for government is to look at all the contribution lists of people who give campaign contributions. If you look at somebody like, I'm not going to say the name, but now, look at the major candidates in our community running for office.
It's public information.
You can go online. They've raised $500,000 up to $1 million. Those money are not from our community. So why do you think the contracts are going to end up in our community? It does not make sense.
But some small business owners might say they don't have enough money to give.
That's what you say. But you gotta sow. Some people don't. From the little that you have, sow something. You remember the story of the widow in the Bible?
Yeah.
The widow's mind.
You gotta give something.
You gotta give something. This is a corrupt system. I'm not saying you should be corrupt. This is not what I'm saying. You should know how to be smart in the game of politics.
Just play the game.
You gotta know how to play the game. You cannot always be doing the same thing and expecting the different. That's insanity.
Yeah.
Now, if it's not working for you, it's not working for our community. I've challenged our community leaders on this issue, and I don't like it. You can't be telling me to come to you and come, speak and do stuff at your forums, and you don't endorse. These are community groups that I was talking to. Why do I need to come to you when you don't endorse candidates? I see your own members that have been laboring for your organization for many years. They don't win because you don't support them. So why do I need to be a part of you? It doesn't make sense. This is easy math.
Yeah.
You look at the formula that works. I know from my people who give to my campaign, although most of them are mom and pops and teachers, people like the KevBiyis, the Opalas, the Obadis, but there are people, small business in this community, but there are people who give with the expectation of something that they want to get. And you're gonna have to be a wise and judicious politician to be able to navigate our terrain. Some monies you don't need to take, because if you take it and you don't deliver, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful.
Not all money is good money.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So you really have to think about it.
You have to weigh the pros and cons when you think about that. So what is unity in Miami Gardens? What is that?
That's his initiative.
Yeah, I started Unity because I was hearing, when I talked about appointing a body, people, you may think that is something easy. Before I got into public office, I was trying to get appointments and boards. It's difficult to get appointments because people who have power don't teach the powerless how to take their power. People who want advantage they want to give you a position to take away their advantage. So all of those boards and position of influence are very important. So the idea of unity came about many years ago when I got appointed. A lot of our residents feel like because the council meetings is once a month, in the evening, they cannot attend the council meetings. They felt like the government or the city was not representing them enough. So unity was my idea to bring the government to the people. So I take the meetings to different parks in the community because I'm at large. So I have to bring it to the 4 zones.
The entire Miami Garden.
The entire Miami Garden. Out of that unity came up the idea of a senior movie night. I started that. I started the International Music Festival. I started the senior prom. Because we have a very robust senior population. This Saturday, I'm going to be having the 2020 senior prom. It's going to be a drive-through experience. Typically, we have a dinner, like a big event, all paid for. They dress up. They come with their dates.
Up to 500 seniors.
Yeah, they all pay. They
come
get
with
wine and
boyfriends.
dine. They take pictures. Yeah. But this time we're just having them drive. The police is going to escort them to Betty Ferguson Center, to the YWCA. They'll get a packet, a dinner, wine,
Goodies.
non-alcohol, wine, some face mask, customized face masks, and sanitizers, and some gifts.
We want to continue that legacy. They have grown accustomed to coming, and he had this thing where he danced with the seniors, and they love that. He said he's going to do a virtual dance.
I want to see that. Make sure you send out the link.
Yeah, it's called Parade of the Oldies.
Of the Goldies.
Of the Goldies.
Of the
Parade
Goldies?
of the Goldies, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So we changed the theme up this year.
So Unity has done
the elders
its work.
involved.
Yeah, it has done its work, right?
Yes.
You can't expect to get what you don't put in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what are some of you guys' favorite places to frequent in Miami Gardens? For anybody that's coming here to Miami Gardens, like what's a place they should go to?
Lorna's
is good.
Mama Sherry.
Okay.
I don't do cigar. I've been invited. My frat brothers will go there, but it's too much smoke.
Starbucks, if you want that vibe and technos, you could grab a cup of coffee. Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. Miami Gardens is growing, and I'm so excited. I remembered when there was really nothing to do. To be honest with you, even with us, we would take the kids.
You got to go to another
to
city.
Pines or Hallandale, and now we could have fun at home. It makes sense. That's where we live, that's where we work, and that's where we play. That's
Definitely.
right.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. Miami Gardens,
Yeah.
Mount Zion AME Church, right across from Brunch Bar. But we got a finger licking. I don't know if you've ever been.
Yeah. I used to eat there when I was still eating meat. I changed my diet.
Yeah, it's a very rich food.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you guys for coming. We're coming up on an hour. I recently just ordered my mail-in ballot.
Good for you.
So I'm getting ready to vote soon.
Good for you.
So can you give anybody tips and let them know? Because I feel like when we go to the ballots, this time around is going to be a little packed, much more packed.
And we're in an age of COVID.
Yes.
So you guys have any tips for anybody that's looking to vote?
Please register to vote. It's already passed. If you're not registered now, register now for the November election. If you've not requested your vote by mail, do so right away because you don't know what's going to happen on election day or early voting. You have until the next 2 weeks to do so. This is going to be a very, very important election. If you don't, it's not just necessary to vote. You got to know what you're voting for and who you're voting for. The most important thing. You got to do your research. But I make some recommendations. Of course, look for that Ighodaro, people.
Yes.
Ighodaro is a strange name. You can't miss it.
Definitely can't miss that one.
It's not strange. It's a peculiar name. Unique.
While we're on the,
Olanike Adebayo is on the ballot. She's running Nigerian descent, running for judge.
While we're on the whole thing with voting, Erebo and I are the first husband and wife to be on a ballot. Period.
Congratulations.
So,
making history.
Yeah, for us, that's huge. And people ask me all the time, how did when did this happen? I didn't know. And, but sometimes God prepare you, for what you never thought you would be strong enough to do.
Yeah.
And I've done the servant part. I continue to do the servant part. Like many of, the women who have voted for me, and some of them have sent me messengers with, look, I voted for you. Can you imagine, Kev, to see that? Like me? Really?
Enthusiasm.
And it was just amazing. And I showed our daughters and I said, this is what confidence in someone, in something is. For someone to give something as sacred as a vote, to say, I trust you to lead, I trust you to guide. So, like I said, I've done it. I've done it in the capacity of working along with my husband in the community, and now it is my turn to do it in a grand way and to really bring in women. The twins ask me all the time, Mommy, you're always talking about women, and aren't there any guys in Miami Gardens? I was like, there's enough guys, but I have to speak to my base.
Yes.
And I when I talk to women and I mentor, I say, listen, my husband is a very powerful man, a professor, a politician, a pastor, and this community figure. But I had to find my own space, right? I had to find my own platform. And I have never competed with him. What we do, we complement each other. We didn't prep for this. It's a very natural thing when you not only understand each other, but when you're vested in the work. It becomes like, it's a mission. It's something that we're doing together and we're enjoying. So on August 18th, which is the twins' birthday.
Wow. It's
Really?
Divine.
On August 18th, they're going to have birthday at the polls or safely, but you get it.
Yeah.
August 18th is election day. Shannon Ighodaro for Miami Garden City Council seat 3, punch number 410 on your ballots. And my areas are Bunch Park, Rolling Oaks, Crestview, and Scott Lake.
Definitely punch 410. What are your areas?
Mine is a multi-county district. It's both Miami-Dade and Broward. Those of you in Broward counties, if you live in West Park, in Pembroke Park, Pembroke Pines, Miramar, and in Miami-Dade County, those of you that live in Miami Gardens, Opelika, everything south of Opelika to 87th Street, and east of Miami Gardens to Northeast 6th Avenue, west of Miami Gardens to 67th Avenue. So it's a big district.
Yeah, it's big.
There's a whole lot of people in that district. So please remember, touch number 31, Ighodaro. I encourage you to vote. Please support this election. I want to say this, Kevin, as I close. I want to thank you for allowing us this platform and for being a young man that has good head on your shoulders. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
And we're expecting great things out of you, out of the KevBiyi family.
Thank you.
I'm honored to be the first to be elected enduring descent here. I didn't have any models. I hope I have been that for you and many that say it's possible.
Yeah.
This is not, it wasn't easy, but with God all things are possible. I want to thank this community. The city of Miami Gardens gave me an opportunity, even though I'm choosing to leave this seat. I know God has a bigger plan, but you must give credit where credit is due. Many thought I could not be elected. Many did not try because they were afraid. I'm a foreigner. They're not gonna accept me. But this community did accept me, and they supported me overwhelmingly. I won in 2014 with the highest amount of votes in the history of Miami Gardens.
Almost 18,000.
Yes, because people are good and generally good. If they see your heart, they see your work, they'll give you a chance. So don't be afraid. Step out and on faith, and God rewards faith.
Yes, definitely. And I want
So
to
believe.
Yes, believe in yourself, definitely. And I just want to say thank you guys for coming on the podcast. You guys have definitely been a great example for the community, like Mr. Ighodaro, Dr. Ighodaro said. You've definitely been an example for the African American community, the African community, Nigerian, myself. That, seeing my name or your name on the ballot is definitely an inspiration. Because growing up in school, the names have always been picked on. And then also your wife, man. They always say behind every good man is a great woman. And obviously, like you said, and you mentioned earlier how you couldn't have done this without her. So you guys have set the example of a family that's really doing and making a change in our community. And that cannot be under or overstated. It's just an amazing example for more people to aspire and to really lift up our community. And I want to thank you guys for even blessing me with your presence here today on the podcast. So I really thank you guys for that.
Yes, we've come this far by faith.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, and your lovely wife, and Kechi. Thank you all so much.
And right before we go, I just want to leave everybody with the golden nugget for today, which is sponsored by Titan Protective Services, which protects what matters most to you. The golden nugget is the world will see you the way you see you and treat you the way you treat yourself. So start to take care of yourself, and if there's any changes that you feel needs to be out there to be done, you be that person and be set that example. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
This show is brought to you by Believe in Yourself. Don't forget to visit IBelieveInMeInc.com. That's IBelieveInMeinc.com for all your BIY swag. That's I Believe in Me Inc. for all your BIY swag. And we'll see you on the next episode.